Welcome back to Factorio's Seablock in 0.17, and today we're going to be solving a rather basic but useful problem: wood. Now, wood is very, very scarce. You see, there's just no trees around, and that's going to be changing, but not actively growing. They're going to be growing in arboretums. You're going to want to explore. You see, just explore outwards. You'll see I've started to basically put out these small lanes of sand to get to the islands. You want to find your first tree. In my case, it's a desert tree, but you can also find other ones like temperate trees, etc. Whichever one you have is fine. Chop it down, and you'll see you get 100 wood and 1 desert tree. It's the desert tree that's more important than anything else there, because that is one of the ingredients in Seablock that you use to make a tree seed generator. So tree seed. Yep, so there's 3 types: swamp trees, temperate trees, and desert trees. So desert trees it is, and we'll make that now. We're also going to want to go and make a new building. I've got enough, I think. Yep, got enough for another factory building. And we'll build up here for now. We can move it elsewhere later. So let's get that done as well. We're also going to want to craft arboretums, algae farm, at least 1. And this will get it going, and you'll see what we're going to be doing with all 3 of these. For now, however, we need to make the prerequisites. So we're also going to need some water, because we're going to be making compost. Now, that needs a pump, so let's get that started too. 1 offshore pump. And there is our factory building, so let's just put it down, I don't know. Here will do for now. Okay, and let's show the inputs. And then I want to have my inputs, I'm going to say have a water input here, so just so you can see it actually being a water input. Oh, is that going to be short by 1? Yeah, let's put the offshore pump down first. Okay, are you going to be short by 1? You are. Okay, let's just put 1 at that end as well. Okay, so we've got some water, and then we're going to have something coming out of here. And that's pretty much going to be it. We just need to connect up some power, which it is. And now we have this building to play with. Okay, so what are we going to do in here? Well, we're going to have our water coming in, okay, and we're going to have a belt of something going out, maybe 2 belts. I haven't quite decided yet. I think we probably will end it with 2 belts. Let me just put 1 outside. Okay, so now you can see there are inputs and outputs. So let's just pop down our algae farm first of all, and that is just going to need water, so I'm just going to put it there for now. It is a Mark II algae farm. I have replaced some of the other ones with Mark II, but this one will do. There we go. Whoop. That's... Nope. That was the wrong recipe. It's that recipe. I just caught up with pressing everything with 2s, including the Mark II recipe. So this one is just going to produce green algae, and it's going to produce every 30 seconds. We're going to get 20 green algae, because it's a Mark II. It would be 40 seconds if it was Mark I. That's the only difference between the 2. So that's 20 green algae we're going to use, and we're going to basically convert. I'm going to try direct insertion, but otherwise we'll see what we need to do from here. We're going to make compost, I think. Can we make compost yet? Does it need research? Looks like it does need research. It looks like it needs farming. I guess it's a basic farm, the composter, soil as a recipe. Yeah, we're definitely going to need that. Okay, we're going to need garden processing then as a prerequisite. So that's going to need about 100 of our red science packs. I refuse to call them whatever the Seablock pack calls them. They are red science packs, and we've got plenty of those. So I may even make a couple more labs to make this processing a little bit faster. Labs. We can make a few more labs. Okay, and then I'll just extend this belt outwards, and we'll get that going up top. And it looks like we have capacity for about 3-4 labs, depends on how fast this is going, but that's going to do fine because farming is just finished. So I did just change the water to come into the top. That's going to be a little bit more important, mainly because I want to have, potentially have to stack these depending on how many I need. So we're going to have here, hopefully now, the recipe for compost. Composter? I thought it didn't need compost. Ah, it is in a composter. Okay, fine. I thought it was in one of these. That's no problem. So, composter. I'm just going to try with one to get started. Need steel, so do be aware of that. And let me just turn off the research for now. I don't need to choose anything else. Is there anything else I can choose, really? I suppose water treatment 2. Agricultural planing? Well, why don't we just go for... Why don't we just go for washing 2? Oh, no, we can't. We need green science. Why don't we just go for advanced mechanical refining then? That's fine for now. And there's our composter. Okay, so leave one space. And this, as you might imagine, just makes compost and nothing else. So we should just need to feed it in with some inserters. And then that will make compost. Now, compost is useful. Let me just put it actually a little bit further across. Compost is useful, but it's even more useful when it's combined to make soil. And it's soil that's going to be the primary thing we're going to be making here. So there is some of that. And this is pretty fast, as you can see, at making compost. I'm not sure whether it'll be fast enough to keep, well, whether we need more than one, but that's the, that's something we'll work out in a bit. Now, from compost, we need to make soil, and soil is, well, it only needs mud to be added and not much else. Soil is then turned into tree seeds in a tree arboretum, in our tree seed generator, and we just need soil and water for that. So I am going to need to feed in this water somewhere else, over here somewhere, and we're going to need to feed in mud. Yeah, we need to feed in mud to an assembly machine. However, before we do that, why don't we just get, first of all, we'll get this compost out of here. Okay, just so it isn't cluttering everything up, and let's actually just do that onto maybe both sides of this belt, or maybe just one side. Yeah, because what we need to do is bring in mud from somewhere else. Now, for the moment, am going to just say I'm going to bring it in here. It's going to come from our existing mud plants. We're going to give up making grass, and instead we're going to feed in mud over here instead. We'll just get some more belt together. Doesn't much matter where I put this, but we'll just feed it onto the top side of this belt for now, and obviously I'll rearrange later to be a lot more efficient, but for now we're going to have mud coming in. Now if you have a look down here, this is our washing plant, and coming out of that is this grass supply right now, which is kind of useful, but I have sand and we can scale upon crushed stone to get more and more sand. So all we really need to do here is, instead of feeding into this machine, push it out on this belt, which I've already placed, and that will feed out of this plant, out of here. Okay, and it will feed into the next one down, which is going to be right here. So that's where we're going to be moving it to. For now, we don't need to do that. We just need to assemble the rest of the infrastructure. So from here, then, the compost is going to turn into soil from this line. So we're going to need assembly machines off this line, anywhere from here on down, etc. Let's just put 2 down for argument's sake. Okay, and here we're going to just say, make some soil, please. Okay, off they go. And from them, we'll then need to go into our tree seed generator. Cool. So that looks like it's going to have a liquid input. It is. It's going to need water, and it's going to need soil. Okay, so we're going to have water. Well, we already have a water supply at the top, so maybe we balance this all along the top here and get everything else done. So I need to just move some things around then. I'm going to assume that maybe I'm going to need one more algae generator. So what I'm going to do is make one anyway, because we can always use it in the other plant. I'm going to pop it down, and then I'm going to move this belt around and probably get something over this side to actually make the tree seeds, well, and make the wood, I should say. Okay, rearranging. You'll see we've got mud coming in here now because I've moved this entire factory, and we've got our tree seed generator up top here. I've rearranged things just so that we don't have them on a split belt like that. We have them coming in on their own dedicated belt with the mud, and then we've got the compost coming into the top, so both of these should combine and get brought out onto this belt down here, at which point we can just bring this over here, and we can scale up however we want to from here. From this point, we're just going to need to get some more belt going up this way. Okay, and we'll make some more. I'm still using this basic transport belt, by the way. I am using the yellow transport belt in some places, particularly if you combine two lines coming in. It's helpful if you then, like for example here, what we should have is yellow belt from here on outwards, but then it splits here into two lines again, so not quite so useful. However, in some cases I've gone over here, for example, and if I'm continually going to scale all this up, you see these bottom three are Mark 2s, all the rest are still Mark 1s, but when we combine two of this basic belt here, I've gone up to the next transport belt up. What we may end up with is we may have to go yellow all the way back here, because once all these start, they're going to be producing like 33% faster once we replace them all with Mark 2s. Anyway, that's just an aside, and we've got soil coming up here. You can feed water into either side of this, so if you really want to avoid the outputs, you could just rotate them that way and have it fed into one side. I'm not sure if it'll pass through, but you could share it between two of them. I'm just going to leave it like this for the moment. It doesn't really much matter to me, and we're just going to feed in that into there. So we should start getting tree seeds. Okay. Yep, tree seeds. Now the tree seeds, on the other hand, are going to need to be used. So tree seed needs to be combined with soil. Well, that's handy because we've got soil right here, and water in an arboretum basically. So we get 4 trees out of it. So that's good. So tree seeds, soil, and water. So an arboretum, I think I've already made one. Yeah, it's quite large. Hopefully it'll be fine in here. There is light, of course, so let's call it hydroponics or something like that. It's going to need water as well, and we are going to just going to feed it here for now, and then later on we'll probably, have to rearrange the layout so that everything is nice and efficient. There we go. Okay, so that's going to be making this. This just needs some actual tree seeds. And there it goes. That should be everything it needs to basically make trees. Now trees, handily, can be processed just like you would in native vanilla Factorio, if you like. So trees, it doesn't matter which trees, but let's just say we want this particular type of tree actually. We're then going to need a assembling machine of some kind. There's only one recipe for this, and it's going to take one tree, some saw blades, and convert into wood and less good saw blades. Alright, so we need saw blades, and that in turn is just iron, and basically that's it. Cool. So we just need both of those coming in, and then we're going to get wood out. I'm not sure if it's going to output the saw blade. It may stay, it may not. So the wood we can then process. We can put it into cellulose fiber, which is what I may do. What I may do indeed. A combat shotgun, I suppose. And of course wooden boards. So that's the alternate way of getting wooden boards that we previously did by the whole paper pulp, other kind of stuff like that. Oh, of course you can turn it back into compost. Not so useful for me. So that's going to be pretty good. And what do we currently make the power poles out of? It's made from wood bricks. Okay. Not quite so useful there, so we don't need to use it for power poles. That's the advanced mechanical refining done. Let me just choose advanced solar smelting. Yeah. Okay, so now you should be producing trees. You are. Good. Let's get a couple of processes down here maybe then for that. We want a couple of assembling machines, and let's just put them here for now. We want wood. Okay, and that needs saw blades. So let's just get the saw blade here. And we'll feed one into the other. And then the wood's going to come in at some point. Let's say it's going to come in here. And then, well, the prerequisite, the trees is going to come in here. The wood's going to come out, and then we can choose what we want to do with it. I'm probably going to have to put this somewhere else. Yeah, let me put it somewhere else. So a bit of experimentation here didn't quite work the way I was expecting. I was expecting to be able to use one of these inserters, the filter version. The filter version is set to saw blades, whitelist, and to basically pick up and drop in the same place. You see, pick up, drop. So i.e. we'll pull out of here and feed them back in. Doesn't work. I tried. So drop position, I can just put it down here for now, and we can just feed it back in like this. What I'm going to probably need to do, however, is a little bit different than that. I'm actually going to need to probably put a splitter in place. There we go. Okay, and we're just going to feed it into that one. Because what I don't want to do is to have this jam up at any particular point. So we need to use this filter to basically input priority to the right. I think. Yep, input priority to the right. So it will always take from the right if it can. Otherwise, it'll take from the left. And that's what we want because we need basically another one set up here for the saw blades. And that can go there. However, for the moment, what I'm going to do is... Oops, I've got some saw blades here. If I just drop some onto this sort of side over here, and this side. Okay. What it should do is once there's enough onto the belt. Okay, there we go. It's loaded. We should see it start to, just pull from this side of the input, which is exactly what we want. And this 90% isn't a 90% condition, it's just 90% chance of getting a saw blade back. So every 1 in 10, you're going to lose a saw blade. It's going to break. That's exactly why you need this other one over here supplying extra saw blades. That does need to be supplied by iron, which we can feed in, from outside. But otherwise, other than that, that's going to actually work. I'm just going to get it to just make some extras for now. And it's very fast recipe, so that's not really much of a problem. So here you can see this wood is just being produced into a box. That's not where we're going to want it. We're going to want to basically do something with it. And in that case, I think we're going to do much as we've done before. We can turn that into yet more carbon. And if we have a look in our existing carbon factories, you can see down here we have what we want, which is we have some assembly machines turning something into fiber. That fiber goes into these, and then that goes across into here. However, we just want to know whether we can actually, how much of this can we actually handle. So I'm going to need probably around 6 assembly machines, and then we're going to need to deal with this as well. You can see this needs to be fueled, and it needs supply of water and stuff like that. So thankfully, we do have all of those things in our new building. So we have some water here, we can bring that down, and I'm going to do that off camera. And then I'm going to set up something down here, and we'll see well how efficiently we can connect it. How are we doing on mud? Mud is doing pretty well, and in fact we're getting enough of it that we can probably just, I don't know, send the excess out to be made into grass again if we really want to. These are both backed up, that's fine. So we're getting plenty of soil, and we just need probably more arboretums because they are really slow. Okay. So we're probably going to need to move the rest of this stuff around, but for now, that looks like it's going to be fine. What I think we should probably do if we're going to do that is have the supply of water come down to the bottom of here as well, or maybe even a separate building for arboretums. We're producing enough of these seeds that I don't need to worry about it. Okay, so I'm going to reformat everything, and I'll bring you back once I've got to where I need to get to. What I eventually decided to do was scale up inside this factory. What I think I may even do is move this final wood step out of this factory because it's a bit, it's crammed down here in the corner. But just to show you everything else, I've connected everything up so that I can scale this if I want to. In fact, I could even move that out and actually get up to 8 of these machines. These tend to be quite slow by comparison to everything else. Similarly, the arboretums are slow, so having lots of those is a good idea. So again, scale those up, scale these up, as much as you can do anyway. And you'll see that now we're producing this wood. This idea of using the input off to the right sort of works, sort of doesn't. It needs a large enough buffer, so I've put a buffer box here, and hopefully that's going to contain any kind of scalability problems for quite some time. In that what happens is if, let's say, if there's enough saw blades in the system, that because there isn't a large enough capacity, it jams onto this belt, which feeds back, because it's only 90%, it's 90% chance of getting one back, so most of the time you're going to get it back. And when it jams onto here, when this inserter stops moving, then this stops feeding out wood as well. So you always want to make sure that you're basically bringing saw blades back out. Why it can't just keep a saw blade inside itself is probably just an issue with vanilla Factorio itself. Anyway, it's producing wood, and a lot of wood. So much so that I can't really convert it inside this factory. So I've sent it out around, and then we need to get iron in here at some point to get saw blades going. But other than that, we're bringing in wood right here into this new factory. I'm also bringing in water, and this is a nice layout. And I've just used a lot of space, and just to make it really easy to scale up if I want to, or if I can get more wood, that is. So we may want to have this first line maybe change over to be making the wood. Regardless, it is currently taking in wood, and let me just cut that one off if it isn't needed. It's producing pulp, which is going down here. You can see 2 of these 4 machines are on at the moment, and they're producing wood pellets, which have been converted into wood bricks. And just as before, now they're being converted into charcoal. The charcoal is going down here and is being converted into carbon, and carbon is going all the way around but not being consumed anywhere, you can see. So we're going to just, first of all, I want to make sure that both sides of that belt are being fed. There we go. It is being given the opportunity to be boiled first, so I no longer need this sort of really cramped setup of feeding the charcoal into the boiler. We're feeding carbon into the boiler if it needs it. Otherwise, we're feeding carbon out, and you see there's nothing on the app but just yet. But that is a really simple one to solve now. We can basically feed this out and around, and again, this is going to act just as we've done before. We'll act like that to be another input to our power system. Basically, I'm going to feed it into a splitter. I started the yellow splitter rather than another one, but that's fine. I guess we'll use that instead. And there it goes. So that will start basically providing more and more carbon to the system. And you can see right now it's getting power problems again because both of these new factories are consuming power. So we need more carbon to compensate, which is fine because just in time we now have a wood to carbon system. Now we don't need to use it for carbon, we can use it for other things as well, but this is a much nicer system I think than the algae based system, having it produce wood. And of course we can use wood for other things as well, including wooden boards. So if we ever wanted wooden boards, we can just feed it right in here at the top and feed wooden boards right out there. And that would solve that whole problem. So yeah, that would then, let's just see how much of that infrastructure we could save. Where's my wooden boards? I think it's up here in the circuit factory. Let's go and take a look. So, if you remember rightly, our wooden boards are basically coming out here. Okay, so all of this at the top, let's see, chase it round. That all is being converted into wooden boards and nothing else. So all of that can be removed and all of this can be removed technically to go from wood. So that's a simple upgrade that we can make in the future and get some algae plants back, which we can then use for other things. One other thing to note is right here I've changed this around so that it does feed out nicely, but also that I changed this on the feed here so that it outputs preferentially for the wood, but if any is left over it will then feed back to our grass, because what you don't want to do is for this mud to back up too much, because if you remember, this is feeding out hydrogen sulfide and we never want that to stop. We never want the mud to back up, so we always want to be using it somewhere, and in our case we're going to use it just there, and I probably will just send the belt that way instead. That's a shorter route, but yeah, that's just neating and tidying. So hopefully that makes more sense for you guys, and also you can see that now we're getting a lot more charcoal into the system, and we are actually keeping up with demand, which is nice to know. We're still getting plenty of sand now from crushed stone, and we've got these multiple factories feeding in for charcoal. Now what we should probably do at one point soon is figure out whether we actually need we need charcoal, sorry, not charcoal, carbon. We do need charcoal for this charcoal filters up here, so we definitely need this building. This second one here, however, well, this one is producing charcoal, carbon, but it's doing so sort of inefficiently by this kind of method, and it's producing it via algae farms. So we could see whether this can actually replace it. The main thing to see whether it will replace it is just to see how much time we can actually, well, how much charcoal we can actually send out here. So there's a couple of things we can do. One is another chemical plant. Chemical. We don't want a chemical furnace. I've made that mistake before. A chemical plant. You'll see we've got plenty of wood bricks here. We have one other thing we need to do as well is we need to make sure these furnaces are fed. And instead of self-feeding with charcoal, which is convenient, but isn't quite as efficient as using carbon, we're instead going to use carbon. So we're going to feed from there. I'm going to copy this one, pick up and drop. So now it's going to be a long-handed inserter, but it will actually do the job. And that can be copied and pasted. And then it will just continually feed this with the carbon that's coming out from here. So everything is nice there. And of course, we're probably going to also want maybe another furnace there as well. And to get these both going, get another inserter. Copy, paste. There it is. It's going to start feeding. And then we'll just set this offset as well. You can be offset to this side. And then where are we sort of blocked on? We may even be blocked on the output for the carbon, which would be amazing if so. That would be really, really nice. Yeah, that's all looking pretty good. And why don't we just put in that other chemical plant then? I think we'll see how far we can scale this up. Where's my chemical plant? I did just make one. There it is. Okay. So what you'll see here is the steam's coming across. In fact, let's just put 2 in, because it makes my time a little bit easier. Show you why in a second. Because I'm just sharing the steam output basically on each of these. So that can go like that. We can copy paste that across. Copy paste this across. And then we just have room for another inserter or 2. Oops. And there we go. So lots and lots and lots of carbon. Good. It's being produced from wood. And just keep an eye up here. It looks like we are actually okay with our input on with 3 or 4 of these. It's not backing up, but it is in constant use. And then these probably less than that. That last one's probably not going to be in use. So maybe 4, 3, and then 2. Occasionally the second one will come in use here. And we'll have a very similar kind of output there to this other factory. So I'm quite happy with that. You can see this is all nicely backstuffing now, and we're happy. So, yep, wood factory from pretty much nothing again. That's sort of a better approach to, first of all, generating carbon, but second of all, we're going to then, hopefully, be able to, once we scale up, be able to replace the wooden boards. And just to get this going a little bit nicer, I think I am going to probably try and switch over from making the wood here, this one where it's very, very cramped, over to making it in here. We have much more room in here to actually do that, and then everything else is a lot more visible. Anyway, I will leave it there for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. If you have, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe as you normally would. Click on the bell if you want notifications for more of these episodes. But more importantly than all of that, leave comments for everyone else who's playing through with ideas. And we've had a few ideas recently as well. So yeah, I will cover some of those in the upcoming episodes. Sorry if you haven't left a comment and I haven't commented on it yet. This is being recorded before probably your comments to the last episode. So yeah, do let me know. And as always, guys, thanks for watching.